Hey, it's Aiden. So today I want to talk a little bit about binding. If you don't know what binding is, it's essentially using a binder or like trans tape to flatten your chest. What I want to do is I want to talk about the two main ways to bind and bind safely, but I kind of want to sprinkle in some other ones. They're not really recommended, but I understand completely that some people may not have access or safe access to get them. I'm going to try and give you tips to access them safely, but granted, things happen. So I want you to at least have the information to be safer about it versus doing something you're not supposed to and causing like rib damage or breast tissue damage, etc. So first and foremost, I think the most common obviously is a binder. It's in the name, it's meant for binding, right? So what I would suggest doing is finding a reputable company. There's two that I could say that are really well known and won't cause a lot of damage. Obviously, you want to make sure you're putting them on correctly and getting the right size. Do not buy one on Amazon. Do not do that. They are usually just a random binder. They're not safe. And a lot of them have little like clip things in the side, which not only is uncomfortable, but can also cause further damage. So make sure you're buying from a reputable company. So two companies that come to mind, Underworks and GC2B. So Underworks, I personally don't use them. From what I've read and my understanding is they are a little like firmer. So they bind and make you a little flatter. But then again, the pictures I've seen look like how I look, and I use a GC2B binder. So I personally don't know if it does make you flatter. That's just kind of what I hear more. But I really think it also depends on what size your chest is. So kind of keep that in mind as well. I'm going to apologize also. My voice keeps cracking and I'm trying really hard to avoid it cracking like mid-sentence, but can't help it. So I'm sorry if it like comes out weird. I'm trying my best. So GC2B binders. So that's the one I have. For transparency's sake, I'm going to tell you like my chest size and kind of like show you what it looks like just because that's the one I have. So I can know a little bit more about that one than I do Underworks. People say that the seams tend to rip or become more frail than the Underworks one. I personally don't have that problem. So I think that comes down to, how often are you wearing it? How are you washing it, etc. So maybe that plays a bit of a factor. So make sure you're taking care of the binder as well. You're supposed to wash it, like hand wash it, or like if you're putting it in the washer, like on the delicate cycle, which is essentially hand washing. I would also make sure that you are taking care of it, hanging it up, not overwearing it, etc. Really good tip is, of course, having the right size. Not only is that safe, because if you have the wrong size, it can cause you to have trouble breathing and, like I said, breast tissue damage as well as ribcage damage. So good size would also help not damage it. So I don't know exactly what size I'm wearing. I think it's like a medium or maybe a large. I'm not sure about that, but not really relevant. My chest size, I want to say, is a 34B. So I don't really have, a big chest. So I'm going to just kind of show you what it looks like with the binder on and kind of just talk about that a little bit so you can kind of see. I'd also recommend checking out their website so you can kind of see what options they have, colors they have, etc. So I'm wearing like a white one. You can probably tell in most of my videos, it looks like I'm just wearing like an undershirt. If that bothers you, I'm sure there's other types you could wear. You could put it on a little differently, or you could use another method of binding, which I will go over in a second. But to me, it doesn't bother me. I chose the white one because it looks like an undershirt, and I have a lot of like white work shirts, and it makes more sense to have a white one. What I would also recommend doing as well is having more than one. So I say that especially if you are going to wear it frequently. I don't wear a binder that often. I'm going to be real with you. I wear it for like my videos. I wear it when I'm going to like work. I work from home a lot of the time though, so I don't wear it that often. And like if I'm running an errand or like hanging out with my friends. So I personally don't wear it often enough to need a ton. I would definitely say get like 2 or 3 though. That way while you're washing one, you still have one to use. But at the same time, for me, it's been nice having one just because I've gained a lot of muscle mass like up here, like in my back and my traps specifically. So when I'm wearing my binder, I feel more pressure here. It doesn't hurt. It's not super uncomfortable. I can just tell I'm getting to a point where I will probably need to remeasure and make sure I'm wearing like the right size. So I would say for me personally, having the one has worked out so far, But in normal situations where you're binding a lot more frequently, I would definitely say having two is the best thing you can do, because then you have access to one while the other one's being washed. So I'm going to show you what mine personally looks like. Obviously, keep in mind, you're really close to me. I'm not usually this close to people, so it probably looks a little different when I'm further away. But this is what it looks like straight on. This is what it looks like at like a slight angle. And then this was what it looks like from the side. To me, it looks more just like I have pecs. Keep in mind, you're also really close to me. But yeah, to me, it's more like I have pecs. It also factors on like the kind of shirts you're wearing. So I don't know if you can see, this shirt's like a little bit of a tighter shirt, whether it's like up here and down here. If I wore a baggier t-shirt, it would probably look a little bit more masculine, just because it would stick out a little and it wouldn't be so tight hugging up here. So my binder overall, this is what it looks like. It's kind of like a compression shirt. It's like that material. I live in Arizona, so this material doesn't bother me. It's thin enough where it's not uncomfortable. If you think that it'll be uncomfortable for you, I would probably get a half tank or bind in a different way. This, like I said, doesn't bother me. This is what it looks like. It's literally just like a t-shirt. Like, that's pretty much it. Like I said, there's the half ones that come about up here. I personally don't mind the full one just because it doesn't make me uncomfortable. What I would also suggest doing is, while you're putting this on, I would make sure you reach in from the side and adjust anything that you need to. You don't want anything to be down here. You want to make sure it's more towards like the center and like pressed in versus pressed down. If you have it pressed down, you're likely to cause a lot of breast tissue damage or just be really uncomfortable. So I try to, as I put it on and have it situated, I reach in from the side, adjust it, make sure it's good and comfortable, and then I'm good to go. So that's what mine looks like. That's the one I use. I find it most comfortable. Granted, Underworks, I hear good things about that one as well. The main thing you want to keep in mind is measure. If you buy one that doesn't fit, you're going to have tons of problems with it. So it's really important that you get it correct as far as measurements. To measure, if you don't have like a paper measurer thing, I don't know what you call that, paper measure? You know what I mean, like a thing to measure that's paper. If you don't have that, what I would do is get like a piece of string and then use that to measure the points you have to measure, and then compare it to like a ruler or like a measuring tape. That's what I did, and mine fits really great. Another thing that you can do, if you don't want to use a binder, you can use trans tape. So trans tape, essentially, you can order it. It's a roll. It comes like this. You know, it's a little bigger than this. I've used it, so this is not as full as it is. There's different sizes. So I think they have like a small, medium, large, something like that. They have different like tones to it, so you can match your skin tone. It looks a little bit more natural. So, you know, a lot of people go swimming, they work out, they shower. You can pretty much be in it longer. It's just important that you're applying it correctly and not wearing it too long. So according to their website, you can wear it up to 5 days. It depends on your activity. So if you're very active and like work out a lot or what have you, you might wear it a little bit less, but 5 days is what you're supposed to wear it for. I have a little like strip here to kind of show you an easier way to apply it. I'm not going to apply it. That's like a whole thing. I would say look up a video for that, because that's like, honestly, it's a whole task. What I've heard works often is if you lay down flat, you can let gravity kind of do some of the work for you, because your tissue will naturally fall kind of where you want it to. Once you cut your strip, you want to like round the edges, as you can see. That's not a good job though. But yeah, you want to round the edges. It'll keep it from kind of like lifting up. So see how this is like a square? Right here, as you're wearing it, it will kind of lift and be really uncomfortable. So you want to make sure that when you cut your strip, you round the edges as well. I think you're supposed to do that on both sides, if I'm not mistaken, for the same reason, because it doesn't like fray or anything. What I would do is do a test strip. They recommend it on their website as well, but honestly, I know plenty of people with tons of like skin sensitivity and allergies, so I would definitely apply a test strip. I know it's really exciting and you want to just use it, but if you are very allergic or have a bad reaction to it, that is going to be no bueno. If you have full-blown like chest binding action going on, I would use a test strip somewhere. There's also like removal oil. If you don't want to use that, I would use something else to remove it that is still oil-based or something like that. You don't want to just pull it off because that can rip your skin pretty badly, so don't do that. If that's the route you want to go, I would look up a video on it. My understanding is it's for various size chests. You know, if you have a larger chest, it works. If you have a smaller chest, it works. In between, it works. It's really just about how you apply it and how comfortable you are with it. I would say check out the website so you can kind of see different examples, look for what's right for you, and they even have instructions on it. If you're a visual learner like myself, there is like a little chart, but to me, I like to see it being done. So I just went and found a video from someone that was doing it, who did it correctly. And I would say take a minute to make sure you're finding a video where you know that they're going to do it correctly, just because otherwise you're going to do it wrong and you don't want to cause any breast tissue damage, right? So trans tape is really cool, especially because you can swim in it, work out in it, and shower in it. It causes a little bit more like gender euphoria because you can feel more shirtless and free, but some people don't enjoy using that. I personally don't use tape that often, just because I don't bind that often. I don't feel the need to do that. For me, if I'm running to the store, for example, it's really easy to just throw this on versus like taping. That takes me a second. If I'm in a rush, I'd rather just go. Plus I can take it off and kind of just be more comfortable and breathe that way. Tape is very non-constricting though. It's more just like, because you're not like pressing down on your ribs or anything. It's just more pressing down on the breast tissue. So if that might be uncomfortable for you, a binder might be better, but it's really to each his own. Feel free to try it. One thing I'll say too, so in case you're worried about how it comes, it doesn't come and say like trans tape. It doesn't have any indicators on the packaging that make it seem like it's something else or very, you know, trans related. I think it actually says like TT, I'm pretty sure, and then like the address, and it comes in like a basic like USPS packaging, like poly mailer thing. So if you're worried about someone finding it, it doesn't come in anything. It looks pretty discreet. My binder was very similar, so I think it did say GC2B though. So if that is an issue for you and you feel that it might not be safe to order it to your house, maybe you have transphobic parents or a situation like that, I would say order it to a friend's house. If you don't have access to a card, like credit card and stuff like that, because you're younger, I would say to have someone else order it for you and pay them back. Or I've heard that you can just like, you know, go get a prepaid like Visa gift card type of thing and use that to purchase it. I highly recommend doing something like that and just storing it in a safe place, because it's much better to use the correct items than a different item and cause damage. A couple methods, I only want to mention a couple because I honestly think that if you're doing something else is a little bit less safe, but I can, like I said, see how it may be a necessity to do so. So some people use KT tape. I think it's like the black, like pro version or something. I would say do that very carefully just because it's not meant for binding. Trans tape is specifically designed for binding. So that's the difference with that. And then also I've heard of using sports bras and wearing 2 at a time. I would say if you're going to do something like that, make sure you're doing it safely and taking breaks. You don't want to cause any permanent damage to your ribs or breast tissue. If you do that, it can prevent or like make top surgery harder in the future. So just keep that stuff in mind. You know, honestly, I don't have the same experience as everyone else. That's kind of part of why I started making videos. I have my own experience that differs, just like yours may differ. So, you know, I'm not in a situation where I can't order a binder, I can't order trans tape, etc. But there are plenty of people who relate to that. So I would suggest kind of connecting with others online and seeing how they do it, but taking that with a grain of salt. Make sure you're being safe. Don't bind too long, don't bind incorrectly, don't use the wrong items, don't use ace bandages. Please do not do that. That can cause so much damage. I think that's the worst thing you can do is use like ace bandages. So please don't do that. If you are curious what else you can use if you don't have that accessible, let me know. I would love to maybe like kind of troubleshoot that for you, figure it out so you can do it safely, because safety is going to be super, super important. And I'd rather help you do it correctly or find a solution that is still safe for you while still achieving what you're looking for. So hopefully that was kind of helpful. I would say, like I said, check out both Underworks GC2B if you're looking for a binder specifically. Compare which one you think is better for you. Make sure you're using the sizing charts. Those are super, super important. If you're not wearing the right size, like I mentioned, that's not safe, nor is it comfortable. So make sure you're just doing that. If you have more questions, let me know, and I'll see you next time.